engaged, and because nothing.
Talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's time, it's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge. It's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. So here we go. We're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, everybody? Joe Evers, the fence expert.
Dan Wheeler, the Fence Industry Podcast.
And Dan Turbyville, Powerhouse Fence Show.
And we are coming to you guys live from Pickets and Peaks FenceTech 2025. Boys, what a show.
It is.
Man, this is, we're in an ice cube in Salt Lake City, but it's 70 degrees outside.
Right.
I love it.
How crazy is that? How
it's
crazy
wild.
is that? Everyone was worried about snow and temperature for the last 6 months. And then we show up. Yesterday was, like 62, 65, something crazy. I didn't pack any shorts. I didn't pack any T-shirts. I mean, other than this.
Yep.
And, of course, it's nicer here than it is at home.
Yes,
Go
it's
figure.
wild.
Yeah, the weather's been super nice. It's crazy.
It's, man, it's just a nice place. Clean city.
Yes.
Man.
So Sarah had that comment walking through the airport. Because, I mean, airports are generally clean, but something about the airport here is just pristine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pristine.
Everything. The streets.
Everything.
The
You
bathroom.
find any trash on the sidewalks.
Oh, good
And
luck.
I've walked a lot.
Yeah.
There's nothing, dude. Love it.
No, everything's really nice here. Convention center included. I mean, we've been in some nice convention centers the last several years. I mean, Oklahoma City was one of the first years of that convention center, right?
Yeah.
And so we've obviously been in some nice places, but this convention center itself is, I mean, just a little bit nicer.
Man, it's huge, too.
Yeah.
It's massive.
I didn't know I've been entering and exiting the side entrance. I thought that was the main entrance.
Yeah.
And then we walked that way, and I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
There's
It's
a whole
crazy.
nother side of this building. It's wild.
Oh, this place is huge. It
Yeah.
really is. The show floor we're in, largest show floor, I guess, in FenceTech history, is what Jim was saying. So
Bigger
it's
than
larger than
Nashville?
Nashville. Yes,
Oh,
larger than Nashville.
Wow.
15 more vendors than Nashville. And I thought there were a ton of vendors in Nashville. They're talking about the pre-registration numbers are up. Last I heard was like 4,750.
Holy cow.
So far today,
This is wild.
Yeah.
so far it was like an hour ago or 2 hours ago. They said 1,000 packets had been picked up. 1,000 registrations had been, picked up, badges,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And that's the highest number they've seen as far as people showing up early for education. I don't know. I should have asked Nick. 47 educational classes. That's got to be either a record or tied
It's
for a
right
record.
right about there. Nashville was right at like 42-ish
Okay.
or something.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and it's packed. I've been hanging out all day, and like it's just one guy after another. It's just packed coming and going through education.
Oh, it's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at all of the classes and like the different paths that they have set up now and stuff, it's really cool.
The business,
Yeah.
leadership,
Yep.
and what was that other one? Install
Yeah.
track. The 3 tracks, yep. And so they didn't overlap. So if you wanted to strictly stay in that business side or the install side, you didn't have to miss a class.
I think that was a great idea.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
for sure.
Giving people kind of a clear definition. I mean, and you don't have to stick with it.
Yep.
But at least it gives you an idea of, hey, if I'm on the install side normally, these are some classes I should look at first. I thought that was really well done, really well thought out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It seems like every year gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, it's just consistently like that, right?
It's the people they got involved. You know, Chance and Robert here. Robert's a driver, dude.
Yes.
He's a driver.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't accept nothing but like the snowboard things. I just think they're knocking home runs, man.
They
left
turned out
and right.
really nice.
Left and right, dude.
I was
love
talking to him about it earlier because him and Chance were walking through, and I said, you know, guys, well done on this. Job well done. Mission accomplished. This place is awesome. The details here, I mean, we're sitting in an igloo, right? Like the details here are crazy.
Yeah.
And, you know, Robert being Robert, he goes like, oh, man, it's just a team. He's like, I had a vision, but the team executed the vision. I think one of Robert's superpowers is he knows how to put the right people in the right seats to get good results. I mean, and this is the result.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. A lot of energy in the city right now.
Ton of
everywhere
energy.
you go,
Ton of energy.
and it's just, and the weather's so nice. Everyone's outside,
Yeah.
walking around, walking to dinner and stuff like that. We met up last night for dinner. That went awesome.
Yes.
I thought that was cool. Last
There was
minute
like
thing.
50 or 60 people there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
it was
was
crazy.
So many people.
I know. You text me and you're like, "Hey, a few of us are going to dinner," and the next thing you know, it's like 50 people.
You're
there. I
the
was like,
second person I
"Jeez."
texted after Zach, and I'm like, "Hey, let's get Dan." And I told Zach, I'm like, "Hey, I'll invite Dan a couple." He's like, "Yeah, that's cool."
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Yeah.
it happens.
Then about
It
50
did.
more people showed up.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Getting together. We don't get to do this a lot, so it's our Super Bowl and great weather, great city. Food has been phenomenal. I just ate some great tacos, and this is kicking off. We haven't even started FenceTech.
That's
This
the crazy
is what's
thing.
great.
This
Yes.
is the opening party.
Yes.
This is and the opening party is still 8 minutes away, right? The doors are open, but they're not letting people in quite yet. It hadn't even started.
Yeah.
And I think it's an incredible success.
Yeah.
The show floor doesn't open until tomorrow afternoon. We still have the keynote tomorrow to sit through, which have you guys looked into the Van Morris, the keynote speaker?
So I heard him on somene's podcast. Was it yours?
I had him on
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to him there, but I didn't know him before that.
Guys, this guy's legit.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm going to be there. I'm going to get as close to the front row as I can. I'm going to be there early. I'm telling people, I was telling people, you're going to run through this wall like the Kool-Aid man. He's going to fire people up. Bobby Batchelor puts it a little bit nicer, just because he's a little bit nicer of a guy. Because he said, and he's heard him talk 5 or 6 times. He's like, every time I listen to him talk, I walk out the door just a little bit taller. And that's the truth. This guy is just, I'm looking forward to it. And then that kicks off. Of course, then there's the opening ceremony for the show floor, and then we're off to the races.
And
as far as the show.
keynote is included in just your
Yeah.
So everyone's invited.
This party's included.
Yep.
The keynote's included. Show floor obviously is included.
3
Those are three days. Now, guys, we should also, for you guys watching at home that maybe you're local and you haven't thought, you're not sure if you're going to come. Friday is free on the show floor.
Yeah.
It's free Friday, so you don't need to. I mean, you still need to stop by the registration booth, I'm sure, and get a badge. But there's no fee to enter. There's nothing like that. So there's no reason not to come.
Yeah,
There really
and the
isn't.
weather's awesome here.
Yes.
And I mean, there's so many places you can go ski and do everything around. I mean, it would be an awesome weekend just to get away a few days to come out.
Yeah.
This is a perfect weekend for
Yeah,
it.
for
Every-
Perfect weekend.
Well, and everything's here. Like, we've been talking about that for a while. It's the main selling point for this venue. And literally, it's true. I mean, where we went for dinner last night is, 2 blocks maybe?
Yeah, block and a half.
Kind of block and
Yeah.
a block.
Yep.
And, yeah. And then, of course, the mall's across the street. There's a food court. The hotels are all right here. Literally, once you get here, you're done.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're done. I think that, and especially with the weather the way it is,
Yeah.
beautiful.
I know.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell the locals, right? You know who's local and who's not, because the locals are still kind of bundled up.
Yeah. Yep.
But those of us, that it's been cold for a while, where we're like, shorts and t-shirts, and
Yeah.
Now Mark Olson with Job Nimbus just walked by. I don't know if he owns pants. I don't. Every time I see him, he's in shorts.
They don't make them tall enough, I don't know.
Well,
That's what it
that
is.
might be it. That might be it. Well, in Job Nimbus, one of the main sponsors of
Awesome.
Pickets and Peaks, we're in their backyard.
Yeah.
We're right down the road in Lehigh. I tell you what, it's a great group of individuals here, and we've only met a fraction of them, right? Because it hasn't even started yet, really.
Oh, and every time you come to a show, man, you meet all kinds of new people every time.
You know, that's the craziest thing, guys, is just when you think you've met a lot of the people and all that, you meet 4 or 5 people that you've never met before in your life. But then when you're talking about it, you guys have been coming to the same shows for the last 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
It's just you weren't in the right place at the right time to have that conversation.
That's when, like, next year, then you grab dinner. That's how, like, you're like, we met, right? Dan and Zach Ramiro is another one.
Yeah.
Every Monday night, FenceTech, we have to eat some red meat. That's like that's what we do. And then last night just kind of kept stemming from it, like, everyone's invited. It's not it's bring everyone. This is what it's for. And that's, getting to these events, man. We scream it, but man.
And that's one of the things we talk about, right, is the networking opportunity. That's one of the major benefits of being here at the show. It's just the networking. I mean, it's yesterday at the meetup, met a couple good people that are met a couple people that are going to be good opportunities for our business.
Yeah.
Right. One's a vendor and a couple good people where I wouldn't have had that opportunity to sit and have that conversation had I not been in Salt Lake City at that meetup at that time. It's one of the main benefits of being here.
You don't get the opportunity, like you say, anywhere else other than coming to one of these events like this.
Yeah, being here in person. I go to a social media conference, and they offer both in person and digital, right? So where you can log in and you can watch the courses, and that's one of the things they talk about a lot is you have to be here though.
Yeah,
like if I understand life happens, maybe you can't be, but you got to be here to bump into somebody in the hall. Or how many times does this happen? You're walking down the hall and you see somebody that's talking to somebody else. You're like, hey, don't mean to interrupt, but just want to say hi. And it's, hey, have you met so-and-so? And that becomes a new contact for you or for your business.
Oh, that's happened
all the time.
20 times here to me already,
Yeah.
And so, they're recording the education sessions, right? Like 4 out of 6 or something. So, I mean, that's kind of the same thing, right? You could watch it and you could consume a lot of the educational stuff without being here, but you don't get that networking.
No. And I mean, the education, we were talking about it earlier on your podcast, is that, education, I think, has come such a long way, and it's so critical to both new contractors, existing contractors, to be part of the education. Being here live is obviously the best, but I love to hear that they're recording them to make that available, because sometimes it's not in the cards to be here, right? So in that situation, it's good that education is being made available.
Yeah.
Man, I like it. I like it a lot.
I tell you, this, like I said, they've done really right here. So the whole theme here is Winter Lodge.
Makes sense.
But it's basically Christmas in February.
That's what I was just going to say. It reminds me a lot of Christmas.
There's
a lot of
snowflakes all on the wall. There's snow
Christmas
machines.
Trees.
Yeah.
They're like Christmas trees that are some are lit, some are not.
Yeah.
Now, I understand, like, that's probably what you're going to see at a snow lodge, too.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of, but I walked in, I was like, this feels like it could be a Christmas party, too. It could be a dual purpose here. It could be a dual purpose.
Man, the hat stand is super cool.
That thing is wild.
Yeah.
For you guys watching at home, it's like 5 or 6 hat presses that you can pick. So this is one of the hats with one of the patches, but you can pick different colored hats, different patches, and they'll make it for you right there while you wait.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense that technology exists.
Yeah.
I've never seen it,
Right.
though.
No, for sure. I never would have thought about that. It's super awesome.
It is. And so it sounds like they're starting to get things going.
Yep.
Now they already know that the hat station is going to be one of the most popular, so they've got a line already ready for that going out the door. Interested to see how quickly that fills up.
This is
Man,
nuts.
How many hats are sitting on that table?
About a bazillion. I
It's
haven't counted them
crazy.
all, but
Yeah.
What do they have, 1,000?
I-
1,000 at least
at
guaranteed or something like
least,
that.
at
That's
least.
insane.
I've never seen that many hats in my life.
Do we know who sponsored that?
Do not.
Nice, CPSG,
Okay.
and is that Homeland in the middle?
That would
Maybe,
make sense.
yes.
That would make
Okay,
sense.
yeah.
Yep. Awesome. That's awesome.
Shout out, guys. I mean,
Yes.
shout out for sponsoring that, because
Man.
So I walked in, I saw them setting it up. I was like, I have got to see this thing in action.
It makes you wonder, like, how do they top this? Because
Every year, though.
How do
That's
they
what we
top
say
it?
every year is,
Yep.
how do you get it better?
don't you think, like, wouldn't you just pull the reins back a little so it's next year's not so hard?
you
But that's not
can't.
Robert.
No,
Robert Whitaker.
No, well, guys, so that's the thing. For those of you guys sitting at home that don't know kind of the genesis of what the opening, there's always been an opening party. What was it, 2 years ago? It was Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma, yeah.
Robert and Chance said, "Hey, we're going to blow the top off this thing." It was there at Chance's facility, right? It was a beautifully done event. It was well done. It was just the biggest thing. I mean, it's the biggest opening party I'd ever been to.
Yeah.
And then the AFA got involved. They said, "Hey, you guys are doing great things. We've got great resources. Let's partner on this thing." Last year in Nashville, that place was massive.
Yes.
It was. I mean, obviously, band going. There's cornhole. I mean, it's all the stuff is here, and that's what I said the first year.
Yeah.
How do you do this again?
Right.
Last year,
And then they stepped it up.
and here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, look around. This is how. Right.
This is sweet.
Yeah.
It's the bar in the middle, food.
Yeah, I think they got your tacos down here, don't they?
Hey,
I like a good taco, huh?
We talked into a few tacos, absolutely. Now, the nice thing about this, so obviously you guys at home can probably hear the background noise. The band's kicking off. So the band is actually a DJ, an electric violin, and a drum.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I haven't heard the violin or the drum kick in yet. It sounds like the DJ's going. But when we were setting this all up earlier, they were doing sound check with the electric violin and the drum. Guys, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, when I heard about it, I was excited because, I mean, I like that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see what
They got to
do.
be opening the doors any second.
They're coming in.
Are they? There they are.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yep. They just started. They just started letting people. Well, it looks like they might still be holding them in the foyer there. So this is a nice touch this year. Last year and both the last 2 years, it's been in one big building. Obviously, band going can be hard to have a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So obviously we're in an igloo with headphones, so this is better. But if you're out there, not a great chance to have a conversation. So now there's a whole foyer area.
Yeah.
If you want a conversation, there's plenty of places for that. Tons of seating. So that's the feedback I heard the first year was just it was hard to sit down and find a place like that. So it seems like every year they're listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Making
That's
improvements. It's not only this is a great example of how the board in general, AFA board in general, is making progress year on year too.
That's right.
Like this is a great way to visually see it happen.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about the AFA in general, it seems like this is being put into practice in so many different places as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. They've been killing it. And there's so much momentum and energy around it and all of that stuff. It's cool to be a part of it.
I mean,
I'm thrilled to be sitting here right now, in this building.
Right.
I mean, what else could I ask for?
When I picked up on the way to the airport, my guys, I was listening to the episode with Sam Williams.
Yeah.
That dude brings the heat. I thought I was hyper. I don't know if I could record with him. It would be out of control. He just has energy and he has passion behind it. He loves the industry, the profession. So
yeah. You want to talk about a motivated individual. So obviously served on the national board for a number of years, and so this is his year for being chair of FenceTech. So I knew when I kind of knew he was coming. I was like, man, Salt Lake City's going to be great. Just like you said, energetic, tons of energy and enthusiasm. But guys, I feel like that's the epitome of the board as it sits right now.
Yeah.
We talk about energetic, enthusiastic, and just willing to listen to feedback and implement on it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Listening to the feedback is a big deal. I mean, just like putting that outside. I don't know how many of these parties I've been to, and that's my complaint.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not that old, right? So, if the music's too loud, you're too old or whatever. But, I mean, I'm not too old, but, I mean, it does get kind of tiring yelling at people all the time. So I really like that you can step outside, talk for a bit, and then come back. I think that's really cool.
Agreed.
Man, I like it.
And it's come and go. It's part of the ticket. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
In years past, so prior to Oklahoma City, it was always an option, right, and an added option. So I like the fact that now it's just included in the initial registration.
So you had to pay additional before it wasn't included. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Well, and this is all part of the conversation too. When seems like they're very motivated to understand the value and improve upon the value as well.
Yeah.
That's what I think the value you get, man. We at breakfast with my two young guys, we were talking, well, how much does this cost? I'm like, you can do it cheap. You can get here cheap. You can come for next to nothing for free.
Yeah.
You can do this on the cheap. My first year in New Orleans, I did it very, very cheap.
Yeah.
It's just and then the value now is just like so
it's
much.
crazy.
It's unreal, especially. So Sam and I were talking. I mean, you guys saw the same comments I did in the Facebook groups about how it's expensive to register and to get on the show. Why are we paying to get on the show floor? When really, like, the worst kept secret is most of the vendors have free passes to get you in, get you into the registration. And once you get that free registration, again, you're here. You're on the show floor. You also get to see the keynote, which, guys, the keynote, there's people that pay very good money to see Van Morris talk. And so the fact that we get to sit and listen to it for free if you had a vendor pitch in and get your ticket, I would pay the registration fee in full. Right? Now, we got emails from vendors saying, you know, hey, we'd love to see you out there. Use this code to get your registration and all. But like I said, I would pay to see him in person. Absolutely.
Yeah. So also, if you register early enough, if you're an AFA member, isn't it free anyways?
Yes.
Isn't the pass is free? And then there's a certain date where it steps up, and then
like
another date.
Off,
so that's like early bird then.
Yeah. So if you register early, if you're an AFA member, it's free anyway.
All my guys were free coming through. Yeah, because we're members. Yeah.
And then also, like you said, vendors. I mean, I'm a vendor, right? I just got a code. And, like, I can give it out. There's no limit on how many times.
Really?
I mean, reach out to some vendors that you know are going to be here, and you can get a code from them. And, you know, even if you register the day before, you can still use the code. Like, I'm terrible about waiting until the last minute, right? And so when I registered all of us, I mean, I still used the code, right?
Yeah, of course.
Still got in all of us for free.
Well, and that's interesting knowing there's not a limit either. So, again, shows you – so that's the association wanting to show value to their vendors, right? Saying, hey, get your people in here, and we know they're important to you, so they're important to us. And that's what Sam and I were trying to really impress upon people is, like, if you have a vendor at Hall, there's a good chance they're here,
right?
And there's a good chance they got a code that can get you guys just in the door.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know if every person that has a booth gets a code. I assume
I'm sure they do.
But
I'm sure they do.
And do we know how many vendors are here? I know you said more than last year,
15
right?
more than last year, but I don't know the number. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
So odds are, if you're buying something, you're probably buying from somebody with a booth, right?
That's what I mean. If you have a vendor at all, they're probably here.
A lot of the big ones, your Helco's publicly put it out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's up like on their who else did it?
I saw somebody just a couple days ago that posted it on Facebook
Zach
or something.
Romero is another one that is constantly, and so is Expert. Those are the big three I've seen. But Helco has put it out there forever. It's been on a Facebook post. Use this code. Greenwood did also. It's out there. It's easy, guys. Like, I love it.
Hey, talking about Master Halco, have you guys seen their booth?
Yep.
Oh, it's crazy.
Guys are asking, like, what's it look like? And I'm just like, just listen. You got to go to Helco's. I think they want it. Want it. Yep.
It's so crazy.
They took the whole Winter Lodge thing to just a different level. It's a huge booth, but two, they basically built a lodge. I mean, more or less. It's crazy.
Man, it's so much energy and money and everything that goes into those booths. It's wild.
I can't add that number in my head.
I know.
But they were here Monday, so we got in early Monday. Went in to start getting we're going to be going live from the show floor. We're getting our booth set up for that, our area set up for that. They were already. We got here we landed at 9:30. We walked in the door at 11 or something. That thing was already it was going up. The structure was already almost up. So they've been working on that thing for a minute. But one of the things I noticed, which for you guys watching at home, it probably won't mean a lot, but this has got to be one of the most organized just show floor, FenceTech show floors that I've seen in quite a long time.
The people don't understand what that look like. The JLGs, like, we're not talking little baby ones, like full-blown JLGs out there. Like, it's insane. And there's more than one. They're huge forklifts. It's wild.
Forklifts running everywhere, man.
It's organized chaos. Really. There's so much stuff going on. So this is the first year we had to ship in lights and audio and stuff for that. Such a smooth process. Like, ship it to this advanced warehouse. We'll bring it over. We showed up. It's here. It's ready to go. So this will be our third year going live from the show. So we've been here before, and this is one of the first Mondays where I've walked in and everything's laid out, everything's organized, and it's going well when the AFA is calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah.
Right. That. Not saying they're not always, but
Right.
sometimes it's a little bit more frantic,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Everything. It seems like everything is going so smooth.
No, I'll say too. So this is my third time having a booth at FenceTech, right? And I didn't think about it until you said it, but you're right. Like it has been. I don't know what's different, but it has been better here with getting my stuff to the booth and dealing with the people and all of that. It has been better than it has been in other places. So good job, people of Salt Lake City.
One
absolutely.
thing I ran into Ken Throckmorton this morning, and he's always like kind of one tone, Ken.
Yeah.
And man, he was like ear to ear smiling.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I'm like, look at this, look at this, look at that. Look at the boy. He was showing off the AFA area. So that dude.
That area is nice.
So you didn't think they could top Nashville?
Again, yeah.
You didn't think they could top it, right? They put more vendors in.
Yeah.
That area is so needed. Like to step away out of the aisle, so you're not clogging aisles to talk, to relax. You don't have to leave for food, and it's not cardboard pizza.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And there's places to sit and relax.
That's a big deal.
We were talking yesterday about how many miles we've walked, just in a day, 4, 5, 6, 10 miles a day you end up walking. So having a place to sit, have conversations maybe, is incredible. In years past, it's really been the vendors that they strategically place couches in their booths knowing, listen, there's nowhere else to sit.
Right.
So if we can get them to sit here, we'll have a conversation. That's how much of a premium seating was.
Yeah.
Now that whole area. So last year they called it the park. This year I think they're calling it Beer Garten.
Okay.
And so that's what I saw a sign. And I probably didn't pronounce it correctly, but in my brain, that's definitely how it sounds.
That's close enough.
But huge area. There's seating. There's all that. Now Nick Reich is definitely involved because there's also bags in there to throw.
Yeah.
So get some bags in. But it's so well done, well thought out and not educated, but just thought out and executed.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you something really simple that's impressed me is the signs. Right.
Yeah.
I've never been anywhere in this building and been like, oh, how do I get to this? You can look up and there's a sign.
Yeah.
And so,
or down. They're on the ground too.
Oh yeah, that's
They're
true.
on the ground too.
Yeah.
It's really cool on that front side of the building. That really nice entrance.
Yeah, that art display.
And then do you see all the AFA signs, the banners?
Oh, yeah.
Man, they really went above and beyond.
You seen all the vinyl all over the glass up above?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's always been there.
Yeah.
Now they're also talking about Road to Indy, right? So they're always. So it's funny. I was talking to a few of the AFA board members a few weeks ago. They're like, at this point, we're talking about Indy. We're so close to FenceTech, Salt Lake City. We know the team's going to execute on it. They're going to do great. We're thinking ahead to next year, Road to Indy. Again, so thinking about how do you do better, I can't wait to see what that looks like. What betters look like.
Yeah. In Indianapolis, some race car themed stuff in there. I'm excited.
I don't know that they've publicly announced the name of the opening party next year.
Yeah. I got a hint.
Moto themed.
I know. I think I know it. I won't say it, but I think I know it.
What you have heard is what I have heard. Yeah. Because but it'll be Pickets and something that starts with a P, probably.
Yep, probably.
I mean, because we had what was the original Pickets and
Pitchers?
Yeah. Last year was Pickets and Picks.
Yep.
Nashville. Pickets and Peaks this year makes sense. So there's something with a P that's race car or maybe just automotive.
Wonder what that could be.
We'll just have to wait. We'll just have to wait and hear the announcement.
Tires, has it not? I like it. Indy's going to be good. I don't. That's just going to be good. It travels well.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And then looking forward. So Indy, and then it goes to Phoenix. Orlando, so let's see, we got 26, 27, Orlando. In Indy, Phoenix, Orlando, back here.
Oh, really?
It'll be back here in Salt Lake City in 2029.
Dang, no Nashvilles.
I'm kind of a little disappointed.
That's nice for me. Just drive up there,
Well, I bet it was,
Talk about a fun city, too. Fun city, too. Now, I don't think anyone's going to complain, though, about Phoenix and Orlando in the wintertime.
No.
Now, we got incredibly lucky with weather here. Salt Lake City in February is not necessarily known for sunshine and blue skies and great temperatures. So, Indy's going to be a great time. Once we get through that, then we're looking at a couple sunny spots. I think we're set up for success for the next handful of years.
Yes. Yeah,
really do.
Sounds good. If it's going off like this and they keep getting better, man, man, and I feel like the crowd is getting younger and younger. I do feel that. I see it. I like it a lot.
So
I like it.
One thing I was going to say earlier, and you saying that sparked it, was what I've noticed too is there's a great mix of new companies and established companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. So I've talked to a few multi-generational companies, but I've also talked to guys that are in years 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Right, just really early on in the company. I think that speaks also to the show, or well, to those professionals, but to the show for showing value to those guys as well.
Yeah. I like it. The ornamental ag world, I want to shout out to them guys. Though that crowd keeps getting better and better and traveling better. We have a round table Thursday. I want to shout that out.
That's right.
Thursday morning before the show floor. That's everywhere. Justin Arier and myself have multiple posts. 155B is the room.
155B.
And it's before the show floor opens. Mitchell Zimmerman with Keystone Fence and Supply. Donuts, coffee are supplied. We're looking 30, 40 guys there.
Nice.
That'd be a great turnout.
It's getting for the first one.
Yep.
The foundation, man, and I asked actually Matt Sharonana, I'm like, you've been going to a lot of FenceTechs. Have you seen the ornamental ag guys up until he's like, no, every year it's more and more and more and more. So I'm excited to see what they have to say on Thursday, and I know Michael Reed's going to implement a lot.
I love that.
I mean, there's just no reason not to get more guys here. So
and that's such a large segment of the fencing industry in itself. Is agriculture.
It's more than what you think,
right?
When I started doing that ag episode, I'm like, there ain't no way. There's no way, dude.
I bet if you measured miles of fence installed in a year.
Oh yeah.
Well, their rolls
it's got to be agriculture.
Their rolls are a mile.
Right.
What? I'm like, you mean 50 feet? Hey, I can stretch 100 on concrete. No, one pole a mile. I was like, okay.
I can't imagine what that number would look like.
Yeah.
Like miles of feet installed a year.
And so going back to guys coming, shout out to the ag guys, some veterans. Justin Arias here.
Yep.
Matt Schaefer with Grassland Solutions out of Minneapolis is like a living legend from what I hear in the ornamental ag. A lot of solar farms, all that. So if he's here, he's doing fence down by me in my backyard, literally. And if he's here, you know what I'm saying? Take away time from his big operation to come here. I think everyone should be, right?
And the more the fencing industry is transferring in, or not transferring into, but using more of driven posts. I mean, that in the last 5 years, I think the conversation about driven posts has increased exponentially every year. You want to talk about a segment of the industry we can all learn from?
Yeah, for sure.
Ag guys have been driving posts professionally since
the beginning.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, the Justins, the Luke Gibsons, these guys, like, there's a tremendous amount, I believe, the fencing industry as a whole can learn from that segment.
And on the opposite side, there's so much that they can learn from us because so many of them are dabbling in that 6 foot plus one. Like, that's out of those ag guys, I can't tell you. You know how it is. Before you hit record, you talk before and after, and they just want to pick your brain on chain link. Well, how do you stretch it? How do you do this? How do you tie it? What's the fastest way? And I'm like, this is easy, guys. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it goes both ways. And I think the crossover, I think in 2025, that crossover is going to be heavy.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of it. You're going to see a lot of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's going to elevate the professionalism even more in the industry.
Yes.
Because if there's one word you can use about at least that guys I've met, every one of them's just the stand-up guys.
Oh, yeah,
right? Just
for sure.
Incredible professionals.
Yeah.
They are awesome. They've treated me so well. I've traveled across this country, the East Coast Fence Rivalry Fall Fence Forum, and it's just awesome. They're awesome dudes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to get to those.
Dude,
at least one of them, man. I've never been to either.
I'm telling you, when they do that machine competition and that like goes go, and there's 9 robots, and then before they're putting telephone poles in the ground. It's like boom, and the ground shaking.
Yeah.
It is
just the wildest thing
fun.
ever.
That's crazy.
It is fun. It is fun. It is a lot of fun.
Talking about the machinery, and the neat thing is, so the machinery is getting smaller too, right? So you're talking about agricultural guys coming into residential. A lot of these machinery companies are thinking that direction too.
Yeah,
right.
It's coming.
It is.
It's here, maybe.
So
it's coming.
So I think we could all, do ourselves a favor and try to learn from these guys.
Yes.
Yep.
Say, hey, because the number one feedback people have about driving posts is like, well, I live in a rocky region. I know that because I've said that, right? Like, listen, we're the region's largest closed quarry gravels for gravel. right? So we grow rocks. But these guys, but ag guys just kind of chuckle at that. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. Listen, I'll drive a telephone pole anywhere in your neck of the woods you want it driven. So, like I said, I think we could all probably learn from these guys too.
Yeah, it's coming. Look at all this Alex Harris.
Yep.
A lot of guys
It's
here.
starting to become a who's who. I saw Tony Thornton walk by earlier.
Tony's in front of us. The wood defender
there he is.
crew is right here.
And the room's filled out so much. It's crazy how quick it happens.
Yeah, it's wild, man.
It's been open about 19 minutes.
Yeah.
And the hat line's full. I mean, this place is just rocking. I mean, obviously the DJ's going. Guys, this is a heck of a room to be in for sure.
It's crazy.
I know if you guys are watching at home, I mean, we're kind of past the time for you guys to being able to be here, but I think my message to you guys though is you should get to Indy next year.
Yes.
Be in this room.
Indy's gonna be big. I think
it'll be huge.
I think it's gonna test the waters in Nashville. I'm saying it now.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying it now.
It seems like every year, they're finding growth. And I think just to roll this back around, I think that's because the board itself in all their meetings is asking how can we drive value.
Yeah.
Right. And how can we communicate the value too?
Yep.
There's lots. There's member savings program that's been around forever as far as I can remember. But there's so much value here that maybe people haven't known about or maybe understood.
Matt Sheridan was talking about the savings with the vendors.
Yeah.
He said he was really blown away. They really stepped up their game on that.
That member savings program,
Yes.
I mean, it's always been good.
Right.
Yeah. There's always been value. But you're right. In the last probably 3, 4, 5 years, there's a tremendous amount of value.
Yeah.
I mean, there's everything from insurance to work boots to all sorts of stuff in that program.
I need to check it out.
Yeah, you should.
I never do anything. Like I never take advantage of it at all. And
it's part of the membership.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
It's already included.
Yeah, it's not an add-on or anything. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're like me, let's check it out and see what we can save some money on.
Maybe that sounds like a podcast.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I like it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, this is what a day.
Yeah.
What a day.
We haven't even started.
It hasn't even
FenceTech
begun.
hasn't started.
It hasn't even begun.
So we did did the Young Fence Professionals meeting this morning too.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It was awesome. I mean, Robert Whitaker, like the guy can speak, no doubt. Like he gets up there and it's like, man, you're not gonna fall asleep in the room, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he got up and he spoke, and then a few of us went up and he asked questions, and we kind of just experience shared, right? And then we broke up into smaller groups. And so the intention of it is that we're going to have monthly meetings like through Zoom.
Yep.
And so we'll keep having monthly meetings and just talk about topics that are affecting the industry and what people are struggling with right now. And so it's not really like age-based, right?
Okay.
So the young doesn't mean age.
Okay.
The young is like you can be new in the fence industry, you can be new in the AFA, and you're just looking for a place and you want to network with people. Like it's pretty open to who is in there, right? And so
I think that's great because this room's probably pretty intimidating.
it's terrifying. I've done it.
Sure.
Everyone has.
Yeah.
I was there. I've been there. Yes.
So imagine coming into the whole association not knowing anything. Can you imagine what that would look like?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think kudos to you guys for trying to tackle that project because again, talk about value to the member. Getting somebody plugged into the industry and plugged into different professionals around them, I mean, that's hugely valuable.
Yep. And so it's all a really easy way to network and kind of get your foot in the door with a lot of people. So if you're new and you've never been and you don't want to walk in the room not knowing anybody, then check out the Young Fence Professionals and maybe hop on a couple meetings, and that way you kind of know a little bit before you get here.
Yeah.
Because I also think, man, showing up to FenceTech the first time, having never been here, not knowing anybody, like I feel like it would be pretty overwhelming.
Oh, can you imagine walking into the show floor not knowing anybody?
Can you imagine walking into this? Oh, there's a quick pre-party. Let's go in there, and then boom.
Right. Oh, there's 2,000 people in here, and I know nobody. Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing about this room and about rooms like this in the AFA is once you get to know a few people, you'll meet everybody here.
Yeah.
Everybody you want to meet, right? Because everyone's great at introducing and hey, have you met and have you talked to and this sort of thing. Once you meet a few people, that would be your hurdle getting over.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So So, and Young Fence Professionals fills that role.
Yeah.
Right? Just getting involved with
that's-
there, introducing yourselves, and then you show up to this room knowing some Young Fence Professionals
right.
is like, hey, glad you're here. Let me introduce you around to the room.
Yeah, walk in with one person and you're going to meet 20 more,
It's last night the Easy Louver couple stopped in, and they're like, hey, Dan, thanks. And I'm like, yeah, everyone's invited. And because they're new to the fence world, and they're like, well, you know everyone. I'm like, yeah, I know everybody in here.
Yeah.
I know everyone, not from the podcast, just because I go and I talk and I love being at places. And like it started, I'm like, well, there's Joe Everest, that's Dan Turbyville, that's Mark Olson over there, right? This is all the Magnolia and Purple Wave coaching. I'd be like, you've heard those names, like that's all those crew over here. That's Brian Harris, U.S. Hammer, right? Like the go-to gas driver, like. They're like, what? I'm like, just come in here.
Yeah.
Pull up a seat.
I talked to them for a while. They have a really cool story.
Really do.
I'm ready to hear it.
It's a guy that solved a problem.
Yep.
Like that's really what it was, is he tried to find a solution that didn't exist, and so he created it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the gist of the story I understand.
Yeah. I don't think he was even in the fence industry before. I think it was like he built a fence at his house or something
Wasn't he
like
in
that,
there?
right?
That's exactly what I'd heard.
Yeah.
So it was like an HOA requirement situation, and he was looking for something more unique than just kind of what was out there. And he goes, this is what I'm looking for. Let me go try to find the brackets where I can build it. The brackets didn't exist, so then he just creates them, patents it, and then is kind of introducing himself into the fencing industry, knowing nobody.
Yeah,
knowing
right.
nobody.
And they're super nice people. I talked to them for probably half an hour or so last night. I enjoyed it. So
I love it.
And they did it right because they showed up to an event.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That wasn't like a sanctioned event. That was just a bunch of fence folks getting together. But getting involved is the first step in just growing as a professional. You got to think.
It's just that one little Band-Aid. Just rip it off and get there, and then it's all uphill from there.
Yep.
Tiptoe out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Just for a minute.
That's all it is. It's intimidating. It's scared. I went to New Orleans with my first FenceTech. I went there by myself on a whim.
Yeah.
I never even flew by myself before.
Is that right?
Yeah, and that was a fiasco in itself. But anyways, I went to New Orleans on my own, and I just went.
Yep.
What do I have to lose?
Right, of course.
And where would River City Fence, not my podcast, nothing else, where would River City Fence be if I didn't do that? I'm telling you.
Probably a decade behind.
It's still, I
more.
still have my old tendencies. I would never figure it out company culture, and that's what makes a business tick. I would never figure out the latest installs and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's just wild. Look at these guys, are out of control. Justin Neary. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. And guys, I think there's a point here to make too, that you get out of it what you put into it.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Sure.
So if you were to walk in the room, look around, and say you don't know anybody, or maybe grab a taco, maybe grab a hat, and you leave, say, well, that really wasn't for me, and kind of walk around the show floor a few times. Now that show floor, like I said, it could be intimidating, as big as that room is. Walk around for a little bit and then head back to the hotel. You probably aren't going to get much out of it. Right. So because I'm saying that because I've seen the comments that you guys have probably seen in the Facebook groups, just saying they don't understand the value that is FenceTech and coming every year. It's like, well, this is like a lot of things in life to where you get out of it what you put into it.
Yep.
The other thing, again, back to the value, they have that free app.
Yeah.
That new app. If you download that, then you can see the show floor and map it out. All my guys did that. Alan, my salesman, did that because he was overwhelmed in Nashville. He didn't understand what it was going to be like. He thought it was like a home show. I'm like, no. It's not like that, dude.
So,
and now he's prepared this year.
I think that's a really good point. I think if you're going to come the first time, have a plan.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think figure out what educational classes you're going to go to.
Yep.
Plan to come to this party. Plan what booths you want to see, what vendors you want to see, and you got to have a plan because man, there's so much.
There is.
It can get overwhelming in a hurry.
Yeah.
It really can. And having a plan keeps you more on track too. I know. And I have a plan, and half the time it doesn't work, where I say, all right, so the first day, so it's a half a day, it's in the afternoon, so I'm just going to briskly walk through here, figure out who I want to talk to tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to have long conversations. Now I'm going to use the last half day as just a chance to catch up on a few conversations maybe I didn't have time for. Well, that plan goes right out the window at about stop two.
It does.
Because it feels like you have two conversations, and then they're coming over. They're like, all right, guys, thanks for showing up. We'll see you guys tomorrow. So it can't be over yet.
Like this morning, I had a plan to do this, and this, and you stop, talk to a guy, you talk to another guy. And then someone went through a whole class, like, Dan, are you in the same spot? And I was like, matter of fact, I am.
Actually,
yes, I do need to find a spot to podcast, but it's awesome. I love it. Little Mr. Josh Rand.
Well, and walking through the room, Well, the thing is interesting too is like obviously I've been to a few of these, and it seems like I always find a vendor that I hadn't talked to before.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it could be a vendor that's been there forever, right? And maybe I've always seen what they've had, but maybe they haven't shown something that was interesting or whatever. I wasn't in a headspace for it or something. It seems like every year I end up like grabbing a tool, be like, tell me about this
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Like I got to know about
Yes.
this.
I like it.
Last year was the auto feed hog ring pliers.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, are these things new? He's like, no, actually, we've had those for quite a while. Like, you gotta walk me through this. 'Cause this is wild.
Isn't it crazy how you just randomly find that kind of stuff and you're like, what?
Yep.
And, oh, that's been around for 40 years. It changes your life.
Hey, is this your guys' first show? Oh no, we've been here for like a decade. We've been coming for a decade. Like, how have I not seen this?
The other thing is there's things that we've already bought or we have bought for 40 years, auger teeth and points.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know how much they cost.
Yes,
Then we
sir.
walk the show floor and you see a vendor. I'm like, well, I got this. I have 3 different machines. So they're even saying, yeah, I got this. What's your pricing? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a price. It's half the cost of my local implement dealer.
Yeah.
Half the
Yeah.
price. But I would have never have, it's just one of those things.
Well, another thing that we picked up 2 years ago was spray paint.
Yeah.
Something that we use by the pallet, it seems
Yes.
like. Picked it up locally
Yep.
at a paint store, but picked it up locally. Ended up meeting some gentlemen here, and now those are our paint. That's our paint supplier, And actually, I passed by the booth. I was like, I was supposed to send them an order, so I guess I'm going to talk to him tomorrow about maybe placing an order while we're here.
Get that FenceTech special.
Yes, there's a show special. Absolutely.
I remember that one from last year. I've been holding out.
Oh, nice.
Well, but that's the point, though, right? Is
Yeah.
like we'd always been buying paint,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I've walked by his booth for years
Oh, yeah.
and not stopped because I was like, I've already got a solution for that.
Yeah.
But all it takes is stopping one time. You're like, all right, so tell me a little bit about how are you different than
Yep.
X? You know,
And he's spraying it right there too.
Yeah.
yeah. He is.
Oh,
That's the thing. We're super picky on our paint. We're really picky.
Of course.
Because that galvanized got to look like galvanized. It can't be that.
Like gray.
Yes.
Yeah, the
like
gray.
Flat.
dull.
Yeah.
Like flat black or whatever.
Yeah.
It's dull. But man, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. That's what we start using too.
Yep.
So
Oh, that's exciting
That's a
because they're
secret.
next door to me. I really hope I get to smell galvanized spray paint all
man, you're
day.
gonna be feeling good, Dan.
So if you come by our booth and something's a little off about me, that's what it is. Yeah.
Dan, you got about hopefully 5,000 people coming through, dude.
I hope
you
so.
nervous?
Oh yeah, I'm always nervous.
Yeah.
I'm more anxious than nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, let's go.
But once it starts, then then you're cooking.
Well, it's like you said. Once it starts, 5 minutes later, it's like the day's done, and you
Yes.
go, "Where did it go?"
yes, I
So,
love it.
Man, it's fun.
Yes.
It really is. It's
exciting.
It's crazy. It's hectic, but it's really fun.
Yes.
So how do you think, Dan, your perspective changes being, because you're kind of on both sides, right?
Yeah.
You're the vendor, but also you're a customer as well.
Yeah.
How do you think your perspective changes attending a FenceTech as a vendor as opposed to coming as a member?
Oh, immediately, it gives me way more respect for all of these big booths and everything that you see out there. Because I have a small booth, right? I have a little 10 by 20 with a couple tables and nothing fancy. And man, you see people building log cabins and all of this stuff in their booths. And it really puts it into perspective how much goes into that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it gives me a lot of appreciation. And so one of the things I think is cool is like, if you see a booth like that, just maybe stop and say, hey, good job.
Yes.
Y'all brought it and you accomplished what you wanted.
The details, the fine tune, like right before the show floor, they're vacuuming and they're on their hands and knees rolling out wrinkles.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So they're in there right now. So I actually left my backpack in our booth. And I was going to get it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's closed. We're doing all the details right now." And like just what you're saying, they're laying the carpet, they're vacuuming, they're getting all the wrinkles out, they're making sure it looks just right for tomorrow afternoon.
Oh yeah, they do a good job. I mean, when that show opens tomorrow, everything is going to be just right and spotless, So it's awesome.
Yeah. So there's two groups, right? There's two groups. There's the AFA that's obviously doing a great job. But there's also the Expo group, which is helping execute the vision that the AFA has. Bravo to both those groups of people.
Yeah, so the Expo group, those are the ones I was talking about earlier. This group that's been here at Salt Lake City, I think it's something a little bit different about them in the past. Like, they've done a really good job.
Well, so this is my understanding is this is the second year with Expo Group.
Yeah.
So Nashville would have been, I guess, the first year maybe.
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah.
In all the right ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Just it doesn't seem chaotic. It doesn't seem just hectic. It was well executed.
Isn't it wild? Nashville was an ice storm. Salt Lake City is 60-some degrees.
That is.
Isn't it? But every time we go to Nashville, Sand University or something, that weather is not
There's
normal.
There's always some sort of weather.
It's not normal.
When we got here Monday, we went to Park City and we were talking to one of the ladies in the shop up there. And she's like, I don't know what's going on with this weather. Normally we have 4 foot of snow outside the door and it's freezing cold. And I was like, well, I'm glad it's not. I'll tell you that. It's super nice.
Can you imagine these Southerners coming in here with a couple foot of snow?
I
No,
know.
not at all. But that was something that. So we came for a mid-year meeting and filmed some content. We're talking to some folks from the Visitors Bureau, and one of the things they had said is like, listen, it could snow a foot overnight, and we would have these sidewalks clear by the time you guys open up in the morning.
They're ready for it.
Well, they deal with it on a regular basis.
And so we get 3 inches of snow at home, and everything is shut for like a week.
Yeah.
And, they get 3 feet, and they're like, all right, we're going to school tomorrow. Going to work.
Yeah, just got to get up a little bit earlier to clear all that out of here. Right. We'll be up and running.
Yeah.
Awesome. Look how packed this is.
It's getting really busy in here. It really, really is.
Man.
Now, Dan, talking about your booth, are you still doing the putting game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Can you describe that for just a little bit?
Yeah. So if you come by our booth, 516, so we got a putting green laid out, and we'll put a $100 bill on the putting green. And if you can put the ball and stop it on the $100 bill, it's yours.
We all want to know, how many $100 bills did you bring? Maybe you don't want to take.
I brought some. I'll tell you how many I give away after. How about that?
There you go. Well, how many did you give away last year?
Probably like 1,600, something like that.
No doubt.
But man, the draw that it creates in the booth, that's cheap.
Right. So talking about it from a vendor, that's exactly what you're wanting.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is especially in a room like that that's so full, there's just attention getting pulled every which direction.
And you've got the booths with the log cabins and, everything going on. Like, how does a little guy like me do something to try to stand out?
Sure.
So, I mean, that's been pretty successful for us so far. Don't steal my idea, but...
if we see another one, we're going to know where it came from.
That's right.
Absolutely. So talking forward about Indianapolis and about the weather a little bit, because Indianapolis weather can probably be dicey at times. One of the things that I've been talking to about with people that are from Indianapolis, like, here's the thing: if you get there, you're good, because a lot of the hotels are all interconnected. They've got just walkways from one to the other to the other to the other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So as long as you stay in I forget the number, but there's a handful that are connected.
Yeah.
So as long as you stay in in one of those facilities that's connected, you never even go outside unless you want to.
So we need to book our rooms now.
Probably.
Don't be like me and book the rooms like 3 days before. Let's go ahead and get it done.
Yeah, pre-reserving would be a great idea.
Yeah,
would be a great idea. But guys, if you're watching at home, like I said, I don't know if you guys can hear me over this, because this party's getting ready to get really going, so maybe we got to wrap this up.
DJ is getting after it, man.
He's good. So he's the same guy as last year.
He's jamming, man.
Oh, yeah,
he's the same DJ as Nashville. I was talking to him earlier. So last year they had a DJ, but they also had some bands also. This year they're bringing, like I said, the electric violin and the drum. When those guys get going, this place is going to go crazy because they are so good.
I love it. I love it.
That's awesome.
Guys, if you're watching at home and you want some more information, the AFA has a great website full of great resources. You can look up FenceTech 2026. If you are on the fence, about coming this year, you should get here. The weather's great. It's just the party's great. It's going to be a great atmosphere for the next several days. This is setting the tone for the rest of the week, and I'm excited. I really am.
And if you have any questions about prepping for next year, then reach out to somebody. I guarantee you probably see 100 people posting on Facebook pictures of here, things they're doing here. Reach out to any of them, and they'll probably be more than willing to help you and talk to you about it too.
Well, guys, let's say this. So if you guys are watching, you're a first timer and you don't know who to reach out to, Dan's going to have a booth. I bet he would love to say hello to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Myself and Dan Wheeler are going to be in the AFA booth. You can't miss it. Look for a hanging round AFA sign. We'll be there. Come find one of us. One, we would love to meet you. Two, we'd love to introduce you to about 4 or 5 people who will then introduce you to another 4 or 5 people or 10 or 20 people, and you'll be connected to just about everybody in about half an hour.
The crazy thing is, I can guarantee you, if you come up, and say, I'm from so-and-so area, I would be like, oh, do you know so-and-so?
Yep.
And they're like, no.
Absolutely.
I'm like, dude, I think he's in your backyard, bro.
Yeah.
And they're like, really? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, he's here? Like, that happened so much.
Absolutely.
I literally just did that before we left. I'm like, do you know so-and-so? No. I'm like, dude, he's miles from you. It's the same city.
Yep.
And it's awesome, man.
You did that for me.
Yes.
You connected me with somebody in my own town. So
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Yep.
You
Man.
can also connect with people that are in similar fields.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people do that. Like, hey, I love doing residential vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
I've got about 5 guys that you need to know that are in residential vinyl, not necessarily in your market, but these are kind of leaders in that segment of the industry, or ag, or wood, or what have you. I mean, you can get plugged in at this place pretty easily.
So you've talked a lot about the values, right?
Yep.
What is the value of that?
Yep.
There is, you can't define that, right?
No. Well, as Dan put earlier, I mean, the value to my business is huge. From the people that I've met here and just vendors, but also other contractors that I know, I could pull out my phone. If I've got a question about a piece of driving machinery, I've got Luke Gibson and I've got Clint Iams, where I could call either one of those guys and say, hey, I've got a question about this particular piece of equipment. And if they don't know, they know the person that does know.
Yeah.
I met both of those gentlemen at FenceTech, right, in rooms just like this.
Yep. So I can tell you, I've told this story a lot. I used to be the guy that was like, oh, I grew up doing this. You know, what are they going to teach me? All of that.
Sure.
Right. And then I messed up and started listening to people like y'all. Right. And then next thing you know, I'm going to every fence event that I can and have met a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm the complete opposite now. Right. But it took me like something happened and broke that wall that I'd built.
Yep.
And once that wall was down, man, it was like, no, give me some more. Let's go.
Oh,
you know, what can you give me?
Some of it's like watching other people and seeing where they started maybe below you or not as quite far as you, and then you see them. Like, what in the world? Like, I've been doing this for 40 years.
Right.
What magic sauce do they have that I don't? Well, this is one of them. This is like the biggest tool in your tool belt.
Well, I'm telling you, you come to one of these events and you figure that out, you've got to be at all of them.
Yeah.
Because you figure out, like, listen, every time I go to one of these things, I pick up a handful of nuggets that I take straight back to the office, and we grow. And then I go to another one, and I implement, and we grow, and we grow. So now all of a sudden, we're 4 times the company we were a handful of years ago because of connections.
Well, and you can't try to do it all at once either.
No.
So, like, if you come here and you go take notes and 30 classes and you're like, oh, I'm doing all of this, you're not going to get anywhere, right?
You can only really implement so much.
Yep.
Like, and then the next year, then you do something else, and then you do something else. Then that's what I can go back with. I'll sit on the plane and just take random notes. I'm like, this, I need to do this. I need to start doing this. Well, in all reality, you're going to stretch yourself too thin. But that's why you got to do it multiple times.
Well, and that's probably why when I'm walking through and I see vendors I've never seen before, because by the time I walked past their booth last year, my head was so full of what I'd already learned. We'll figure that out later.
Oh, and it's hard. It's hard not to do what you're talking about and write this big old list, and then you just get overwhelmed.
And you get nothing done.
Well, because you get to the office and you realize, you got to get back to reality. You got to get with it. And so it's not necessarily that you come back with a whole bunch of free time to implement either. Now, in talking about shows, so I was looking for the chip, trying to see if I've still got it. I've got it. I might have set it out there. So the Rocky Mountain chapter.
Yep, I seen that.
That must be
the wood one?
Yeah, the wood chip. Rocky Mountain chapter. It's late September, 24th, 25th, 26th, something like that. Yellowstone, they're going to have a show. They're putting together a regional show. So I heard about it. I heard rumors about it last night. Today, I ran into Sherman, and he passed me that chip. I was like, well, all right. I'm putting that on the calendar. I got to be there.
Nice.
If 5 years ago, 6 years, 7 years, prior to my active involvement with AFA, if you'd said, hey, there's going to be a meeting in Yellowstone, I'd be like, well, I mean, that's on the other side of the country for me. Why would I even, what could I get out of going there? Fast forward to now, I'm like, I can't afford to miss it.
Right.
Yep.
And guys, that's the mental shift, right? I can't afford to go versus I can't afford to miss it.
Yes, it is. That's what it is.
And even if you go and hear the same thing, right? If you've heard the same thing 5 times, maybe the 5th time is when it sticks and it becomes your thing that you're going to do from that.
You have to be mentally ready for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to mentally grow for it to let something sink in. And that's where I'm not. I'm a good fence builder, but sometimes I'm stubborn on other stuff. And I've learned to kind of let that wall down go because I'm not the best at some stuff.
Sure.
And then now it sinks in way more. It's just unreal.
And we just get stuck in our ways too.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, you were talking about buying the auger tips and the teeth. Like, oh, that's just who we've always bought them from, and you never looked for anyone else, right? So like we all have that kind of thing where it's like, this is the way.
Absolutely. Well, and how many times have you guys taken a list home and gone to execute and didn't go the way you thought it was going to go?
Every time.
Yep.
So then but then life gets busy. You move on, like, that didn't work. I'll keep moving on. Then the next show, you see somebody that you talked about that before, and you're like, hey, listen, when I tried to do this thing, this is what happened. And they go, oh, no, you got to try this or that or the other.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I had that conversation last night. So we're trying to tackle inventory management, which we're trying to tackle.
Is that even possible, Joe?
I don't know.
You're trying to be Mr. Impossible.
We're so close. We're so close.
Yeah.
We had tried a different ERP last year to try to tackle this problem. And I was talking to a gentleman that was also trying to track. He was basically starting out with the same spot I was with this company, failed at it miserably. Well, now as a technology company, you can appreciate this. So the sales and the implementation teams did not align. Sales are yes.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
can't
a feature
stand that. Oh my goodness.
It's the worst thing ever.
It drives me crazy.
So we got told it would do this thing. We get to the implementation. I'm like, okay, great. What I'm trying to get it to do is this thing. Like, oh, no. I mean, that's on the roadmap. We're going there, but it doesn't do that now. Oh, wait a minute. He said that you do it. No, I don't know why he said that because it doesn't do that. Makes my blood boil.
You went ahead and prepaid for a year,
Of
so
course. And good luck getting that back.
Right.
That money's gone. That money's gone. So I see him this year, and I see this gentleman this year. And I was like, hey, are you still using such and such? He's like, absolutely not. Now we're using this other company, which is who we're in the middle of using. So like, okay, we got to talk more often about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Can we get on like a quarterly call or something? But sometimes that's the thing too, is that's one of the reasons to be here, is you take a note and you try to implement and it doesn't go right. So then you show up again and you say, okay, we got to figure this thing out. Obviously it didn't work quite right, or it's just, there's so many reasons to be in this room, to be at this event, to be at it, well, not this event, but events like this.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, it didn't work the first time. Oh well, move on. Let's try something else.
Start small at a regional show too.
Yeah,
You can
Regional
always
shows are incredible. I mean, talking about value.
Yes,
Incredible value.
That's probably I think you should start there, especially Intimidate, whatever it may be. Just at least start there if that's in your area.
Yeah.
And you get a taste for it. I think once you get a taste, then you can't miss a FenceTech.
Well, if it's regional or nothing, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. To tell somebody they shouldn't come to the Super Bowl show and should go to the regional instead, I don't know.
You should absolutely do both, because they each have their quirks.
Yeah.
And I say quirks, it's not a pro, it's not a con. They're just different. They feel a little bit different because there's different teams that are running them with different objectives. The last time we worked together in this capacity was at West Coast Fence Show. Great show. Great event. I mean, it was great energy. Right, again. But it was a different energy than what we feel here.
There was zero fluff there. If you're in that region, those companies displaying are for you. Zero fluff. Zero, nothing. Like everything was familiar. So you can really dial in.
Well, and what was interesting to me, so we're all in the Midwest. So, but there were vendors at the West Coast Fence Show I had never heard of ever. And they were, now listen, these were not mom and pop operations. Like these were massive, but they were regional. Right? They're regional, or there were some Canadian suppliers in there too, which also in Missouri, I don't run into Canadian suppliers that often.
Right.
But again, getting to regional shows, there's just a different value there. And also, I'm trying to think, I did a quick walkthrough today. Some of those regional vendors aren't here. Right? Because they know that, hey, they're target people. I mean, some of them are here, but there's also, if I'm in the Pacific Northwest, I don't really need to meet a bunch of contractors from the Gulf South.
Yeah. And so I've been to the Northeast show. I didn't go this year, right? But I went last year, and I went to the West Coast show, right? And what's really cool to me is it's a complete different group of people. So the attendees are different, the exhibitors are different. So like it's not FenceTech, right? But
Sure.
it's worth going to.
But that's why it's so niche.
Yeah.
Like that Northeast, they do things
yeah.
like no one else. That's why that Northeast show is so niche, and that energy there, same way as like with the West Coast. Like it's just it's everyone's so familiar with each other, and real quick on the regional shows are blowing up.
Yeah.
They're out of control.
Yeah.
That Northeast show doubled. I
it
think
was wild.
They
man.
were expecting so many people, and it doubled. And it was just like the food on the night before was done in like 20 minutes.
Oh, they had like exhibitors set out in the aisles.
It was in the aisles.
or in the
People were
hallways.
so excited. They were walking the show like Friday night when it was, and it was like vendors were coming there to like, and it wasn't even open, but it was like the energy was wild.
It was
man.
awesome.
It was wild.
Yeah, the regional event. Well, so Sherman, I think the last time they had their event may have been 2023, I believe. And so a lot of these events aren't every year either. So there's a lot of pent up energy in that room as well.
Yep.
Now, the Northeast, it
flip-flops.
it flip-flops,
Alternates,
right?
yeah.
Northeast and Atlantic
Jackpot?
Atlantic
City
yeah.
Jackpot, and then
Groton,
Connecticut. Connecticut, yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So there's always something a little bit different available too.
Yep.
For sure.
Took me a year to learn how to say Groton, by the way.
Groton. I love it. Guys, as you guys are watching at home, I think we spent a fair enough. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah.
Man, it's getting loud in here.
I think you've got marker. We can hear. Okay. I think we've spent a good amount of time trying to just fill you guys in on, again, the word value. I think if I had a penny for every time we said it in this show, we'd be doing all right.
Yeah.
We need a tube sock to carry him out.
But
I had to, sorry. That's all I got.
but that's how big of a deal it is, right? So if for whatever reason you weren't able to be here this year, Indianapolis next year, Phoenix, Orlando, come to one show.
Yes.
Plug in at that show, find the people, and you'll find the value. I promise you.
I think going into Indy, it's going to be fun. There's a lot of indie fence guys. There's a lot of indie fence
It's
guys.
a big market. It's a big market.
And they're all vocal. We all know them.
Man, you've seen the pictures of the local AFA chapter meetings up there?
Yeah.
There's 100 people at the chapter meeting.
80 people.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Ken, what do you put in the Kool-Aid, bro?
I know.
Dude, I don't get it.
So hats off to Shane Catton.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he has absolutely supercharged that
Holy
chapter.
cow.
And he's already, I talked to him a few months ago, he's already got tricks up his sleeve for the FenceTech.
If I know Shane,
I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
But guys, let's start wrapping this up. The band's getting going. I don't think they're going to get much quieter for the night. So, and the room's getting pretty full. I'm sure we'd like to mix and mingle with a few folks out here.
100%.
If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll see them. If you'd like to get a hold of these guys, I can forward it on to them. If you're coming to the show tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, find one of us, please.
Yep.
If you're not comfortable, if it's not your first time, but you still don't feel comfortable, please find one of us.
Yep.
Don't leave here without getting plugged in. Like I said, we will make it happen. We'll introduce you to 5 people who will introduce you to everyone else.
For sure.
That's right. I like it. I'll be there show floor, pulling guys left and right, recording. I like it. Let's do it.
I'll be out there the whole time. So, show's open till it's closed. I'll be there.
Booth number
516.
516.
Yep.
Very good. Well, now are we eligible for the $100 game?
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. All right.
Bring the camera so everybody can see you how good you do.
Mark, cut that, Mark. Mark, cut that. Yeah.
We'll have to do some creative editing. Just show the golf ball floating onto the $100 bill.
I like it.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys coming on. I mean, obviously this is a group thing. I mean, I love that we're doing this. Shout out Robert and Chance for taking a chance. Hello.
Hey.
Several years ago in Oklahoma City for being the inspiration for where this event is today. Shout out AFA, another great event, and it hasn't even really begun yet. I think we're into some big things here.
For sure. I'm excited, man. I can't wait. I'm ready. Let's go.
I love it. All right, guys. For now, Joe Everett, the fence expert.
Dan Wheeler, the Fence Industry Podcast.
Dan Turbyville, Powerhouse Fence Show.
We'd love to see you guys on the next show. We'll see you next time.